Welcome back, friends of G&K. It's good to be back with you. We're here to bring you another concept to your farm. Our theme for 2026 is going to be focus on the fundamentals. Times are tight, economy's tight. We know there's not a lot of money to be made, but the fundamentals will survive. And today's fundamental, which is a concept for your farm, is calcium. And calcium is the king. Ka-ching, and you're going to put a crown on me. For those of you that may not be aware, Brookside Laboratories, which is the lab that we utilize, was founded in 1952 out of New Knoxville, Ohio. And it was rooted into an investigation into animal health issues. A local farmer at the time, who was also a researcher, discovered that cattle illnesses were linked to a calcium deficiency in the soil. The milk cows were in the parlor and the cattle were licking the whitewash off the walls because they were deficient in calcium in their system. Mother Nature knows what she needs. So the cattle knew they needed calcium. And that's when they discovered the link between calcium, soil health, and plant health, human health, animal health, and its relationship to production. Kapow! Tell me that isn't good stuff. I mean, that even sounds good even if it wasn't true. The fundamental I really want to drive home in this is the value of calcium, in particular, calcium and magnesium, which quite frankly is our largest claim to fame for your farms and your production, that all stemmed from the 50s coming out of Brookside Laboratories research. Believe it or not, we still get clients, new clients that come through our office that maybe have never spread lime or haven't spread lime in a long time or calcium, and they are unclear as where to source it, who to have spread it, what kind of rates, what kind of technology does it take? That's where you can rely on the G&K team to help fill that gap, because it is extremely important that you get the right kind of lime. It's applied accordingly, and it's applied under good conditions. So we manage calcium for its soil and nutritional benefits, not so much for pH. Because ideally what we're trying to build is good soil structure and good relationship to each other as it relates to magnesium. And when that's in check, your pH will come in line. And that's why we manage calcium. And the value of calcium is related to a couple key things. The first of which is soil structure. So calcium is basically the glue of the field. So proper calcium is what builds soil beds and soil structure that allows for good porosity and good aeration. That's what allows us to move water through a soil rather than being perched on top. It's what allows roots to develop and grow and build a bigger foundation underneath our plant. It also alleviates compaction by having good calcium built in the soil. And the direct result of managing that is, in fact, a benefit to your yield. Lime is utilized in neutralizing acidity in your soil. So calcium neutralizes the hydrogen ions in the soil, and that's what helps manage our pHs to get us in that mid-6 range, which is where crops thrive the most and where nutrients become most available. The pH is driven by the type of lime we use. What that means is not all lime is the same, and it is drastically different, and that's what we're going to touch on. I'm standing in front of a high calcium lime pile, but there's also dolomitic lime sources, which is calcium and magnesium. The one behind me is virtually pure calcium. There's a need and a place for both. There also is gypsum, which is calcium sulfate, which has nothing to do with pH management, but it's simply a way of supplying calcium and sulfur both, and it has soil structure benefits. But the point is, there are specific reasons why we use specific lime sources, and it's extremely critical that the correct one is used so you can get your soils in the position they need to be in. If you look at your soil solution as a whole, what we're looking for and trying to help you achieve are base saturations of calcium around 68 to 70%, magnesium around 12 to 14%, on clay-based soils. If you have sands, that's an entirely different animal. But high calcium lime is used to obviously build calcium, maybe drive down magnesium, but in particular, rearrange our calcium and mag relationship, and in most cases on clay-based soils. The other scenario would be sands, where your holding capacity is like a screen door. So we literally have to treat our soil amendments like nutrients. And so magnesium is actually needed because it's in a deficient state. So that's where dolomitic lime, which is calcium and magnesium both, is needed in a scenario if you have sands. So in that case, we're actually more focused on pH and magnesium, not so much soil structure. And that's where calcium benefits you in terms of soil structure. The question becomes, if we say you need calcium lime, where do you get that calcium lime? So most generally speaking, if the source of your lime is near your home, it's generally the wrong kind of lime. However, we're pretty fortunate to be in a region where we have some options. So some options for high calcium lime include quarry limestone, like Wabash, Indiana, for example, Swayze, Indiana, for example. There are also high calcium lime options in terms of water treatment facilities. So cities like Fort Wayne treat their water with pure calcium lime to remove impurities that are calcium and magnesium from the water to purify that, and what you're left with is a pure calcium source. That particular lime comes from southeastern Ohio, but it's imported here to use in the filtration process, and the byproduct to us is a high calcium lime, which proves my point that the source of the lime you need comes from not where you live. A dolomitic lime is a high magnesium lime source because of the calcium and magnesium ledges that are mined out of the earth and then ground to become a limestone that you spread on your field. Those ledges contain certain levels of magnesium, certain levels of calcium. That's what we have locally to our office. So if you live near our office, the dolomitic lime, which is near our office, is not what you need because you're contributing magnesium to an already high magnesium soil. Generally speaking, whatever the parent material is of your soil is what resides at the surface. So other sources of calcium that are frequently used in our market area might include things like chicken litter. It does contain certain levels of calcium. So applications of litter over time, you are applying calcium. Biosolids will contain certain values of calcium. There's some treatment facilities that are incorporating bio, or they have bio and they contain calcium. So gypsum, as I mentioned, we traditionally don't use that to manage pHs. That's traditionally used to build and manage calcium and mag relationships. Most gypsum comes from, or has come from, power facilities that were burning coal. So the byproduct is gypsum and that scrubber. However, options of gypsum have diminished because power plants have converted to natural gas, so it becomes less and less available. So we generally have looked to gypsum as a sulfur source more so than a calcium source because our calcium options are much more available and a lot less money. So we look at a lot of soil tests, the whole G&K team throughout the year. And I will tell you, the number one place we look at every test before anything else is where our calcium is and where it is in relationship to magnesium. That's our number one deciding factor. Calcium is the king. When we are making calcium applications or lime, most rates will reside between 1 to 3 tons. There is a limit to what a soil can actually hold on its exchange site. So we try to stay in that 1 to 3 ton rate. Gypsum, we might be in the 1 to 2 ton rate, assuming it's available. So we create variable rate prescriptions, work with any retailer, any controller on the market to make sure that fits your system. So in summary, in these economic times, when fertilizer's high, inputs are high, costs are rising, our revenue is declining, stick to fundamentals that will pay. And the calcium management element is worth its weight in gold. So don't ignore that key fundamental, like we talked about, as part of your 2026 plan and moving beyond. As always, if you have questions, please reach out to the G&K team. This is what we're here for. This is our passion. This is what we do for you. And until then, we'll see you in the next video. So here's the thing. Okay, here we go. I may not be as flowy for you as what you prefer here. So listen. Ding, ding, ding. Does that sound stupid? I am Batman. Now, are you recording? That's like a pocket protector for nerds. Is that groovy? You don't like it or what? I think it's good. That's it. Hell, I don't know. Is that what you want me to say?